Live from New York, this is WIUR Radio.
What's up, guys? So much to talk about. We were literally talking during the intro. Welcome to the show. This is episode 7. We went from episode 6 to 7.
Yes, sir.
Great transition.
Yes,
We got a lot to talk about this week, so I'm going to be yapping. I'm going to be going through it very quickly. Firstly, I'll just kind of intro the show. Firstly, we're going to recap Steve Garcia versus David Onama, that event.
Card of the year.
Card of the year, big one. And we're looking at Card of the Year Part 2 this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to break down UFC Fight Night, Randy Brown versus Bonfim. Gabriel Bonfim specifically, because his brother's fighting on that card too.
Yeah,
spoiler alert. And then also, because next week we do the show on Tuesdays, obviously. Next week is Veterans Day. We're not going to be able to be in the studio. So we're going to break down 322 for you. This is a big episode. So ignore the yapping from us. Try to keep up with us. But let's start with Steve Garcia versus David Onama. That as a main event was a solid fight, and you know the bigger prospect out of the two prevailed. Overall, for a week kind of card, that's a good way to cap it. You know, we get out of there quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Round 1 finished. Let's go home, guys.
Couple minutes in. Yep. It was always going to be a good fight. It's just the matter of whether or not it should main event.
Yeah,
we said it shouldn't, but it would be a good.
In
fight.
my opinion, like that's a 5-round co-main event. Like if you want that to be 5 rounds, that's a 5-round co-main event.
Yeah, I agree for a fight night.
I mean, you know, I'm not mad at it. There have been worse fight nights.
There have definitely been worse.
I remember Myra Bueno Silva versus Holly Holm, and I was like, "Wait, like this is a low point."
They throw you a couple of those per year.
Yeah, there was like one they try to sneak in. And it's always on a good month. Like, you know, the most like historic one of the most historic UFC pay-per-views coming up. But this week we got Randy Brown versus Gabriel Bonfim. So we got a lot to look forward to. Getting back to the fight night that just happened. I wrote the power, range, and pace for Steve Garcia is almost 1 of 1 in that 145 rankings right now. He shows he keeps showing this repeated ability to take damage, and not that he took a lot of it in his last fight, but take damage and to triple what he's taking and give it out. He will always outpace and outstrike, not necessarily in the numbers, but the total numbers, his opponent. I don't think there's been one Steve Garcia fight other than the ones that got stopped where he was really being outstriked in terms of numbers. And I would like to match him up somewhere in that division, but what do you think is next for him in that division?
It's tough. I'm looking at the rankings right now, and if we're looking at 145, they bumped Steve Garcia all the way up to 8 after his win. So now he's top 8. He jumped guys like Josh Emmett, he jumped Brian Ortega, he jumped John Silva, he jumped Patricio Pitbull, and Danny Igue's number 13. Now they dropped Onama below him. The guys above him, I'll list you names. You tell me what you think. Yusuf Zalal, Arnold Allen.
I mean, hey, to be fair, Yusuf Zalal and David Onama were teammates. So if you want to kind of like start that like teammate rivalry, like the Jackson.
Both guys are on a good run right now. It wouldn't be a bad fight.
Wouldn't be a bad fight. And that's a tough one. I feel like if you remember round 3 of what's his name? The guy Steve Garcia and Yusuf Zalal fought Calvin Kattar, where Kattar was just running at Zalal, and Zalal was in the back foot the whole time. I feel like weirdly that could be a stinker in which Zalal gets a win like that, but that is a high level fight. And
it definitely is.
Both of those guys. I mean, there is the pretext that a teammate of Zalal's fought Steve Garcia, and then going into that next fight. So I could see the UFC doing that, but I saw a lot of people saying Josh Emmett for him.
It depends now because Josh Emmett is now lower than him in the rankings.
Yeah,
and he's off a big win.
He got shot up pretty high.
He did.
For an 11 versus 12, going up to 8 from that is like a very good result from him. I mean,
it's because obviously of the caliber in which he won. It was first round finish. It was very impressive.
I was about to say if he grinds out a close 5-round decision, he's probably not getting up to 8. He's probably going to like 10 or 9 or something like that. But I think the UFC like him. I think the UFC probably will shoot him up a little bit in the rankings. So what were those names above him again?
Yusuf Zalal is 7. Number 6 is Arnold Allen, who I heard was rumored to be fighting John Silva maybe at the end of the year.
Silva said he had a fight booked.
Yeah, so that could be, those two could be taken. Then you have Aljo, who I don't know where Aljo's at health-wise because he has to rehab like his elbow after his fight.
I imagine that's not a fight Aljo's going to accept.
Probably not.
He's not fighting lower in the rank.
No.
He's a vet and he's a former champ, so I'd imagine he has some leeway in these discussions.
Yeah, but then the top is where we get a little bit, it gets a little dicey.
He did call out Volk during fight week. So
yeah.
You're not getting the shot off.
No, you won't get.
But he's laying the groundwork.
He won't get the shot, but he definitely is making his way. But when we get towards the top of the division, that's where it gets tough because you have Lerone Murphy at 4 right now. And Lerone Murphy is supposedly supposed to fight for a title. Then above him, you have Yair Rodriguez, which is possible.
Weirdly, I could see that Yair fight.
That's possible.
I feel like from the UFC's perspective, like if Yair, because that's a winnable fight for Yair.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Garcia take a lot of damage, and he can. I don't want to say he can be finished by a guy like what's his name? We were just talking about him. The fight.
Which one of them?
That we were just talking.
Yair?
Yair Rodriguez. I think he can get finished by Yair. Pitbull's a durable guy, and Pitbull got put down by Yair. Didn't get finished, but Pitbull's a very durable guy. I would say more durable.
Garcia, although it's been a while, he has been put out cold before.
He has been put out cold, and he's been hurt in a lot of his fights early. That's something I can't ignore in a fight with those two. But every time there's like any type of main event, we always talk about how exciting this division is now.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a bit of like recency bias and whatnot, but 145 is looking real good.
It is,
and if,
in a great spot.
Like you said, John Silva versus Arnold Allen does get booked, that's a really good fight.
It is a great fight.
That puts the winner in probably a position to fight for a title eliminator.
I feel like we both, when we were matchmaking 145 a month ago, I feel like we both said that Silva and Allen should fight each other. And if they are, it's a perfect fight.
I think it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think scheduling wise, John Silva's crazy active, especially after that last fight where he took so much damage. But he's probably going to get back in the cage quicker than Diego Lopez. Isn't
I know.
Crazy.
I think Diego Lopez just wants a title shot. He won't get it.
I don't think he'll get it. I'd imagine he likes that shot against Movsar. I'd imagine that's booked right now.
I would hope so. That's a great fight. I think it's the perfect fight to make.
Do you think they do it before the end of the year? Or do they wait till the Paramount era?
No, I think they'll wait.
I don't think it happens. I think that's a co-main for like one of the first pay-per-views next year.
5-round co-main title eliminator.
I missed the 5-round co-mains that have like no belt attached to it. I think the last one was this might be wrong, but the last one I could remember was Bilal Muhammad versus what's his name? Like lost 3 in a row. Brazilian 170.
Burns?
Yeah, Burns.
No, there was 5-round co-main between Chandler and Oliveira in November last year. I think was Patty and Chandler 5 rounds too?
I would imagine.
I think it was.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm big time wrong.
They do them a couple times, but I would not too often.
Not that I would like to see more of them. I feel like sometimes on pay-per-views it pushes everything back, but on fight nights, why the hell not? Like, what the hell else do we have to do?
Yeah, we have an upcoming 3-round co-main between Bilal and Ian Gary, which could easily be a title eliminator.
That should be 5.
It should be 5.
I think both. I mean, obviously Bilal would probably want 5. Maybe not Ian Gary, considering his last fight against Protest, like the 5th.
Yeah, he ran into the problems at the 5th.
But that should be 5 rounds, I think. And I think both guys do well in 5-round settings. If you remember Ian Gary versus Shavkat, I think in the 4th round or 5th round was when Ian Gary had that really close choke. So both guys very valuable going into those later championship rounds. But let's talk about the co-main now.
Couple of controversies.
We keep talking about
one big one, which we will talk about. But
I thought that got stopped. I really thought it got stopped. I like Ante Deliha. I picked him to win, and he did, and they robbed him. And where's my money?
Yeah, exactly.
But it very was obviously an eye poke, and the react. But the thing is, if you're a fighter and you have that reaction to just cover up and not move against the fence, you're lucky. Like Waldo Cortez Acosta is lucky, if not anything, that fight wasn't actually stopped. Who was it? Herb Dean reffing that fight?
I think so, yeah.
It's hard for refs to pull the trigger like that because so much happens in that like teeny like space of time. Because I think it was like a 3-second interval from eye poke to like all the strikes being landed and the stoppage. And they never started a timer. It took a while to bring in the physician. Like, it wasn't like a real timeout. Like, it was just kind of thrown together. Like,
yeah, it seemed like he stopped it at first, like actually stopped it, and then once they realized there was an eye poke, they went back and they restarted the fight. That's happened a few times already since we've started the show.
And like, I understand like them wanting to get it right, but you can't argue that it doesn't impact the the losing fighter here, but the fighter who thinks they won in general because they have that giant adrenaline dump, or they rush out and celebrate with their team, which would also cause them to lose energy or get that adrenaline dump. So like, if refs were to just pull the trigger and stick with it, I feel like it'd be better than like kind of these like halfway, like middling situations where we're like, Deliha really could have been awarded a win there.
Yeah, he could have, but obviously calling it an eye poke is the right call, but it's just the manner in which they do it.
Yeah.
That it's hard to
It's tricky, man. And other reffing controversy, we're not going to really talk more about this fight, but the Billy Elikana fight, I think the guy's name was like Kevin Christian or something he was fighting. 6'7" at 6'7" at light heavyweight, big frame. I think he was listed as the tallest light heavyweight. But just the ref like dropped levels to match with I think it was a front or like a bulldog choke, and just missed the tap altogether. Kevin Christian, not a guy who's like a jiu-jitsu guy, probably went out for no reason, and really that could have been stopped before he went out.
Yeah, that fight I didn't see live, but I did hear that there was a mistap.
Yeah, and it was a rough watch because it was the commentators were screaming at the ref too, like he tapped, like stop the fight, and the ref was probably just zoned in on what was in front of him. It's tricky because it was like kind of tough to figure out where he could tap from, and the ref was checking to see more if he was out rather than if he were tapping. So there are these just increasingly complicated situations to get perfect, but like pull the trigger and don't miss stuff when, it's like guys in a submission or guys like getting eye poked against the fence. Like, that's missing it in the first place is what causes this controversy. But man, Ante Deliha's hands looked good.
Yeah, until they restarted the fight.
He
did land a big jab on him when he eked the right hand.
Yeah, and Waldo Cortez Acosta has that mean right hand because he's a pitcher.
Yeah,
that's his background. So if anything, that man has the right hand of doom at heavyweight.
Yeah, he got
I feel like that right hand can put out a lot of top heavyweights, but he's just not like, he doesn't have the fight IQ to set it up. Like, he's just kind of salsaing around the cage, like not really doing much of anything.
Yeah, he called out Tom after the fight. You don't want that. I know Tom's off some weird
that.
stuff, but you don't want that.
Tom could show up with one eye and whoop that.
Yeah, exactly.
But the featured fight, this is an underdog we called right. I picked Jeremiah Wells in this fight, plus 120. Not crazy odds considering Garimbo is pretty still regarded as a prospect before this fight, but there wasn't a lot in the tank for Garimbo. He put a lot out there in that first round, and when it got kind of scrappy in rounds 2 and 3, there wasn't really a whole lot that could outperform Wells. And Jeremiah Wells had a really solid veteran performance there, just doing enough, arguably. But we're looking at 518. I'm not gonna lie, we got to breeze through this other controversy.
Yeah, we do. We have a very accelerated episode today that we just found out maybe an hour ago, so we got to go through. But I think we should talk about.
Let's talk about this controversy.
We have to. We'd be remiss not
Isaac
to.
Dulgarian versus Yaidir Del Val. In the notes, I had minus 200 plus 155, and then it was 40 minutes before the fight. Those odds are at almost a pick 'em. Crazy switch up for the odds. What was it?
I don't know exactly, but I know that way before the fight, if you go back a couple of weeks, it was far.
I think it was apart. And it progressively got smaller and smaller.
Yeah, it just kept getting closer and closer. And not only that, a lot of people started a lot of the money started coming in on Del Val by first round finish, and it was looking a little. It's looking a little weird. The odds were going down. And then obviously, if you saw the fight played out, Daniel Cormier was not happy.
Yeah, Daniel Cormier and Mike Chiesa in the analyst booth were both ripping into Dulgarian, who has since been released. I think under the grounds that he cooperated with someone who was going to fix that bet. And the thing is that makes me kind of very much think that he's guilty. Is this happening in lieu of all this? All these fighters have come out and been like, yeah, I've been offered so-and-so money to like tamper with this fight or tamper with the outcome of this fight. And the fact that they were so swift about it in lieu of like the situation happening in the NBA right now and across other sporting leagues with betting makes me think that he's guilty. And this was like they found concrete evidence to support that. And we were just talking about how good Isaac Bulgarian is, but seemingly he just had a little brain fart and forgot how to defend rear naked chokes.
Yeah, if you heard Daniel Cormier, he kept getting on him. He was so angry when he was trying to punch. He's like, you don't punch, you fight the hands, especially when he's going for the neck. And he's saying, like, this is stuff you learn on day one in jiu-jitsu.
He's almost punching him as if, like, yo, let's lock in this choke.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get it over with. Yeah, but it's not looking too good. I saw Ariel Helwani talking about it right after, and he said they could spark like a big investigation into the UFC to see what's been going on.
Yeah,
but it's not because they've had a couple weird they've had a couple weird scorecards, they've had weird reffing situations.
Yeah,
so
everyone's kind of
everybody's a suspect. Everybody's a
suspect. Yo, we got our eye on you. Don't forget, yo.
Better not mess up this
Antics
MSG card.
FBI news. Yeah. I actually have a lot of underdogs I like for the MSG card, but let's run through the rest of this card. Radke versus Frunza. This was like a levels fight. Charles Radke very much establishes his place like the right. I don't want to say just outside the rankings at 185, but he's like one of those gatekeepers who will like stop you from getting to that level. I mean, he was doing good work against what's his name, Mike Malott before that fight ended, and his stand-up is good. The wrestling proved very good in this fight.
Got the sub.
Late too, very late. Good fight altogether. Alan Nascimento versus Cody Durden. Fight was a short notice for Cody Durden. I think it was like 10 or 11 days notice. Came in at a catch weight, 130. He did look rough getting there, had like the sunken face and the glasses on the scale. So maybe this kind of led to this, but I wrote Durden was ahead on the striking, but gassed a tad and then started absorbing real shots. And then when he landed clean, he got countered with an elbow. Nascimento hit him with and got hurt, scrambled on the feet, shot a takedown, and got stuck in a guillotine. Tried to transition, kind of fight the hips, go over, use the wall to kind of like flip over. But in all that scrambling, Nascimento found a tighter choke and Durden was forced to tap. And this is like a crafty performance from Durden. We all knew Nascimento was very solid. He's in shoot to box with Diego Lima, Charles Oliveira, and
great gym,
and just a bunch of dogs there. So you knew he was in it until the fight was over. There was actually like, I was surprised about the odds. I thought Alan Nascimento would have been a heavier favorite, and then going into it, his striking looked pretty rough in the first round. But a good win from him. Dante Johnson debuted at 185 despite fighting at heavyweight in the
it was crazy. It's a crazy drop.
You know what the thing is? So he basically said, heavyweights are so bad, I will fight. I think it was like 7 days notice, a week notice. Give me a heavyweight, I will knock him out on the contender series.
And he does it easy.
And now he put his although it's no longer intact, his round one finishing streak against Cedric Dumas. But I wrote this was a very poised performance from Dante Johnson. Cedric Dumas had some very actually well-timed level changes going into the wrestling.
Yeah, he was doing some funky stuff too, like throwing kicks off his back. It was weird.
Like the flipping kick off his back was something.
Yeah. But Dante Johnson was very impressive. He got a sub. All his round one finishes. I know it was all round one finishes, but they were all knockout. He had never had a submission, so this was his first.
And I will say, like, he didn't look super polished on the ground, but he has the physical tools to make it happen. Like he is a physical beast.
Yeah,
like you look at the frame at 185. The fact that this man, I think he weighed in at like 207 for his fight at heavyweight.
Yeah, he won by knockout.
So that speaks to something.
Yeah, exactly. He can get it done.
And then a couple more I wanted to touch on real quick. Caitlin Vieira versus Norma Dumont. I wrote this was a bit of a judging controversy as well because some people scored. I think the commentary scored the fight for Vieira live time, but it proved Dumont's stand-up striking was the most effective weapon in the fight. Even though it wasn't super clean, she put enough out there to the point where the smudging kind of wrestling and holding up against the fence didn't really score anything. So the better work and optics from Dumont getting out of that fight. And does she get a title shot after?
I mean, what's going on in those?
Maybe I did think she called out Juliana Pena, and I think that'd be a good fight.
Yeah.
but who knows what's going on with her?
I got no
She said she
idea.
wants a title shot too, which we'll see about that. And then lastly, Phil Rowe versus Seok Young Ko. Very, very, very dominant performance from Seok Young Ko, considering Phil Rowe comes from that wrestling background. So you look at his frame, you might be like, oh, he's a bit frail. He has that long, lanky frame. He has strength in these positions, these bottom positions, and these wrestling positions, just for Seok Young Ko to really impose his will against him.
It was so dominant. He was never in trouble. Not once.
Not once.
In control the whole time. And it's not like he was doing nothing. He was striking on the ground, doing damage. Like it was.
Yeah.
And he got those takedowns fast.
Very physical. And it's not like they were like weirdly like, might sound a little crazy. They were weirdly like Hamza-esque, where he got to the level and then turned the corner really quickly. And I was actually really impressed by his takedowns. I think he's going to make it far. I think his wrestling is actually like very, very imposing.
We said coming in when he beat Oban, we want to see him fight, and now he fought. He dominated, so it's looking really good.
I bet he gets ranked at some point in the future. And he's probably not that far off.
No, not at all. I wouldn't be surprised the way he's performed if they give him a ranked.
If
they give him, you think so?
I think 2 more, and then you can have him fight into the rankings.
Because he's at welterweight, right?
Yeah.
So he's the very last person in the rankings, Mike Malott. Then you have Gabriel Bonfim, Daniel Rodriguez. So
I think I'm assuming they're gonna feed D-Rod to somebody.
Most likely.
But like depending on whether he falls out of the rankings or if he like stays in that like 15 or 14 area, I bet he can get that matchup, and that's an easy peasy matchup for him. But we're gonna move on. Let's talk about this weekend's fight card. UFC Fight Night, Bonfim versus Brown, Gabriel Bonfim. I'm actually pretty interested in this fight. It being 5 rounds, I would say more suits towards Bonfim. I don't think he's been in a 5-round setting before, not in the UFC. Outside of that, I'm not 100% sure. But Bonfim faced a lot of problems with the 42-year-old Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And they're problems that you might not exactly face against Randy Brown, but Randy Brown's a lankier, more speedy, I would say, with his hands, more speedy, and a much harder hitter than Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Where Bonfim struggled was the kicks, though. He got hurt by that head kick at the end of the 2nd round. That was the biggest moment of the fight. But Wonderboy wasn't really getting through with his hands a whole lot.
No.
I think there's a world where Brown is this very like heavy opposing striker and gets really active. But I also think there's a world where Bonfim counters really effectively and can mix in his striking and his grappling and his overall game better than Randy Brown, who is kind of a one-dimensional pressure boxer in some instances. I do think like when we're looking at Bonfim's grappling, like can he submit high-level fighters? We know he comes from that BJJ background, but as he's moving up in the rankings, his fights are turning more into decisions, and he didn't really get any meaningful ground time against Stephen Wonderboy.
No, it was mostly clinch on the cage.
And a lot of people thought he lost that fight. So there is a sour taste in a lot of fans.
I did think he lost it at the time.
I thought so too. I weirdly thought it was it really could have been Wonderboy 3-0. I think it was a round where maybe if you looked at it from the standards of Almeida versus Volkov, you could have scored it against Bonfim in terms of like what he did against the fence. But I think this is a very high level fight. I think both of the 2 main events have been very good, but the co-mains have been sheesh. And this week's is very bad. Let's go to that now. Matt Schnell, who retired, versus Joseph Morales, who come 2 fights ago wasn't even in the UFC. So now that's your co-main event tonight. Joseph Morales wins tough. I think it was tough 32.
It was the most recent season.
The most recent. So I was 32 or 33.
I don't remember the number. It was one of those 2.
I remember we talked about
it was 33.
Yeah, how we liked how they put the headliner fights, the winner fights on pay-per-views and stuff like that. I think they opened 319 with that fight.
They did.
And so that's pretty good activity for Joseph Morales, who I'd picked to win this fight, considering Matt Schnell literally retired.
Yeah,
left his gloves, and I don't even think he wants to fight. I think he's just contractually obliged to fight. So now here you are. You're a UFC veteran, and we need someone as a co-main.
Yeah, and Joe Morales he was very impressive on Tough. He did, I thought, lose his fight. A lot of people did. They thought he lost his semifinal fight So going into the final, there wasn't this big expectation, and then he dominated the final.
And
Like
got
it
a
was
finish,
very,
too.
it was very impressive against a good fighter who's
That's- I
also
know.
signed to the UFC now, I believe.
I remember being impressed by him. And was that 317 or 319? I might
It
swap those.
was maybe it might have been 317. I don't know. Let me see. I'm gonna look at
Actually, yeah, double check.
because
that.
there was supposed to be both tough finals on that card, but the
They
other
might
one
have been
got
delayed
switched
for
to Noche.
317. Yeah.
It was August. It was in August. I think that was
So that's 319.
319. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, good fight. He's a good fighter, and I think he'll make do on his second UFC stint. I'd imagine he fulfills his potential a little more. I'd expect him to beat Matt Schnell, maybe out physical him a little bit. Schnell's a good wrestler. Also, weirdly, I can see Schnell getting an upset here. I think his hands are solid because Schnell has some decent takedown offense, and if he can keep it standing, he's a slicker, smoother striker out of the two. But we're gonna move on from that. We don't want to dwell on that anymore. We're looking to next the weekend after that. The featured fight: Kung Fu Muslim Salikov versus Uros Medic. I wrote that this was the unction, and I thought this was a perfect fight to keep the Salikov KO streak alive. I think we're looking at 2 after this because he KO'd Carlos Leal.
Yeah, it was his last
fight. Coming off that, but before that, I'm not sure. I have next week's pulled up.
Yeah, it'd be 2 in a row.
2 in a row?
Yeah.
I'm happy.
It'd be 3 in a row. I'm sorry, he has 2 in a row.
I like the Unks doing well. I wanted Stephen Wonderboy to beat Bonfim. I was very happy when Carlos Leal got by Muslim Salikov. I was actually watching that like with my father. I was about to go to work, and I'm like, I think Leal is about to like spark him in round 1. And as I say this, the overhand of doom comes right over and knocks him out. My dad was like, "Was that your guy or was that not your guy?" And I was like, "That was not my guy. That was the 41-year-old uncle getting a knockout."
Then you make dad think you don't know ball.
Yeah, I was like, "Damn, come on, pops." Now he's probably not tapped into the show. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Lost your credibility.
Man, yo, tune back in, Dad. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, we're good on this show.
Yeah, we do well. Oh wait, I didn't ever said the prediction streak. I'm 5 of 7. You're 4 of 7. I think we're doing all right.
Doing okay.
And we have a lot of so we predicted. I didn't make a prediction for the main event. We'll come back to that. But let's run down the rest of the card. The prospect watch: Ismael Bonfim, his brother, versus Chris Padella. Padella's a good underdog. He has like a crafty win against Jai Herbert that he's coming off of, and was on a finish streak before that fight. While Bonfim has been finished a couple times in the UFC, one by Nate Landwehr and one not by Nicholas Dalby. It was Jack Jenkins.
Who's this Bonfim we're talking about?
Bonfim, Ismael Bonfim. If this gets finished, it's going to be Chris Padella. But if this goes to decision, I would favor Bonfim heavily.
Bonfim got finished in 2023 in the first round by Benoit Saint-Denis.
Oh, I forgot about that fight.
Yeah.
Well, Benoit Saint-Denis is someone we'll talk about soon.
Yeah.
But moving down this card, I had this bit. I thought Ricky Simone and Alexander Hernandez were the same person. like really. And because like they're both like wrestling white guys who kind of had this like big blow up in terms of the UFC rankings and it fell off. Ricky Simone, which one knocked out? Oh no, that was Alexander Hernandez who knocked out what's his name?
Most recently?
No. Alexander Hernandez knocked out Beneil Dariush.
Yes.
Got ranked from that, then kind of had that slow fall off. The first one being against Cowboy.
Which he's coming back, by the way.
And then Ricky Simone beat he had a big win too. I have to pull that up. But Ricky Simone does have like some very, very solid wins. And weirdly, I thought, Javid Basharat. That's the big win. That was a big kind of like we knew the Basharat twins weren't really like the elite level, but also Ricky Simone has wins over Montel Jackson and Merab.
Those are great wins.
Those are great wins.
The Merab one was controversial, wasn't it?
The Merab one that went to decision, but that was the one where Merab was out in the guillotine, but like was like literally like coming back to life on the ground, and the ref was like, "All right, now we're announcing the winners." But he did win that fight, regardless, on the cards and via the sub. But yeah, he has a bunch of like really solid wins. He had those 2 losses against Uriah Faber and Rob Font, went back to back, and then got 5 wins in a row. Took a bunch of L's, took 3 in a row against very high level comp. Song Yadong, Mario Batista, and Vinicius Oliveira. Beats Javid Basharat, beats Cameron Smotherman very easily. I think he has momentum. He's going back into that win streak mode. I think Raoni Barcelos does remind me of Carlos Diego Ferreira, who Alexander Hernandez just knocked out. So I'm predicting that the mirror careers would stay mirrored.
Barcelos is on a little bit of a streak, though. He did have the win over Talbot.
Barcelos is a dark horse at 35. He has very, very good cardio.
Yeah, he's on a couple. He's won a few in a row. How many is in a row? 3. He's beaten 3 guys in a row, including Peyton Talbot.
And it's a bit of a shame. Like, he kind of got jump frogged in the division by Peyton Talbot off of 1 win.
Yeah.
So, like, chronologically, those 2 fight each other, Barcelos and Peyton Talbot. Barcelos fights Cody Garbrandt, has this fight scheduled now. Meanwhile, Peyton Talbot fights Felipe Lima, and now is fighting Henry Cejudo in the rankings. So I feel like if you're the UFC and Raoni Barcelos wins this fight and you don't give him a shot into the rankings, that's like kind of bad matchmaking considering the work he's putting in.
Yeah, they're obviously focused on Peyton Talbot's marketing because he can definitely be marketed if he gets into the rankings.
Weirdly, yeah. Okay, think about the winner of Raoni Barcelos versus what's his name? Ricky Simone faces who's that? Oh, who won on the Canada card? Went down in 135, knocked out Davy Grant.
Charles Jourdain.
He fights the winner of that. Then the winner of that can fight into the rankings. I think that's a pretty good match.
That makes sense, yeah.
Because Charles Jourdain has said, okay, maybe I need 1 more before I can get ranked. But he has that goal, and he put it out there, and he's marketable off of that win against Davy Grant.
He's funny on social media too.
I know his skit about Ilya Taporia, and he pulls out the gun.
Yeah,
love that. I mess with when fighters like do little skits like that, even if they're not funny. They're just like, you're a fighter, bro. I respect it.
Doing it.
Another one I'm very excited about: Marco Tulio versus Chris Duncan. This is a very high level striking fight, and I really hope that the pace is reminiscent of like both of their fights, because I'm scared that Chris Duncan kind of stink this up a little bit in terms of like maybe wrestling against the fence and like kind of not really throwing a lot of offense out there. But both guys are very heavy on the offense and the output, and I'd love for them to keep that pace in this fight. I think this can be a fight of the night if they do so. And Marco Tulio is a big prospect for me. I think he's very, very good at 185. He has a mix of like that striking like mentality, but he's not very frail like a lot of some of these strikers in the heavier divisions who are just super lanky. So he can very much like wrestle with the best of them. And I'm excited to see his fight.
Well, when they announced it, you had said, why is this on the Apex card? This should not be on an Apex card. So I know you're big on it.
I mean, well, thank God it's on this card.
Yeah.
Imagine without it. Another couple fights. Miles Johns versus Daniel Marcos is a pretty high level fight just outside of that 135 rankings. Tapology has Daniel Marcos at 16, coming off that loss against Montel Jackson.
So first man out.
First man out. I would imagine winner of this fights into the rankings. It makes a lot of sense. And Miles Johns is coming off a couple losses to Gene Nashimoto and Felipe Lima, who are very high level like fighters, but he does have a couple of good wins too. So not good wins to the level of Daniel Marcos, but still some good wins nonetheless. I would expect a good fight here. And then lastly, a debuter, Josh Hokett, went on. He's one of those NFL guys that came into the Contender Series. I think you'd know more about him. Did you watch that episode?
I did, yeah.
It was a good.
He won it quickly, but his post-fight speech,
more of a shtick, right?
Yeah, his post-fight speech was Colby Covington-esque.
Was he the one that was calling out the whole heavyweight division, like calling them a bunch of bums and whatnot?
It might have been. I don't know, but he was like he threw up the thing and talked. He had the American flag and he was talking about all the like. I don't want to. I mean,
he was getting red pilled, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was going at
That's
it.
How
like
you
it
know.
was. We'll say it was much like Colby Covington.
If you think you have like a mid performance at Contender Series, I saw someone else do this. You either go red pilled, like talk about just blatant like red pill politics, or you go up to Dana White and be like, John Jones is the GOAT.
Yeah,
that's how you get
I saw
signed.
somebody say.
If you're like up in the air about that, like that's how you do it. That's how you put the stamp.
Yeah, I
on
forget
that.
what he said, but if I remembered exactly, I would say it. But he was going like crazy Colby Covington on the mic. So
okay,
if he wins his debut, you're gonna hear it.
So let's come back to the main event at
yes,
UFC Fight Night, Bonfim versus Brown. We do need predictions. So we both predicted Garcia last week. This is a tricky one. I think this is trickier than last week because there's like a multitude of things that can happen here. I think this is going to answer a lot of questions as to the level of Gabriel Bonfim. And I want to see his striking. I feel like sometimes he has his chin up in the air a little bit when he strikes. And that's not a guy I want to do that with Randy Brown. I see a lot of people saying Brown early finish. And like, if you look at like the perspective of Randy Brown's kind of career, he's had a bunch of setbacks in the UFC, but he's always been very, very talented. He is a loss to Bilal Muhammad, gets another win, loses to Nico Price, stacks up 2 wins, probably is on the cusp of that ranking, fights Vicente Luque, loses, stacks up 4 wins in a row, one being Chaos to Jared Gooden, then loses to Jack Della Maddalena, gets subbed and kind of hurt very badly in round 1, gets 3 in a row. Hey, gets a KO of Muslim Salikov, and now that takes that loss to Brian Battle. A lot of people think he wins or won that. KOs Nicholas Dalby, and so that statement put him in a very, very good spot to fight into the rankings because his whole career has been a climb. So I would assume that Brown's coming into this super motivated, like this is his time to kind of get into the rankings, and this is his most favorable matchup out of all 3 those like top tier guys he's got. I think this could be a win for him. I'm gonna go with Randy Brown.
I am too.
I like
if you go by their most recent performances, then I think that Randy Brown is more like if you go by their most recent form, because like we said, Bonfim didn't look great against Wonder Boy. He probably lost, in our opinions at least. I don't know about you. He probably lost the fight, pulled it out. Now he's getting a main event against Randy Brown, who's off like a big knockout. Yeah. So if you go by recent form, I think it's like reasonable to say that Randy Brown is going to get it done.
Lost to Nicholas Dalby.
Yeah.
So, okay, not to do this again, but MMA math will tell you
we don't have to go too much into MMA math. It doesn't work sometimes, but
yeah, now we're going to move on to this godsend of a card.
Yeah, we'll get there in a second, but we have to go.
Do some ads first. Sorry, guys. You know, we reached the midway point. Which button is this?
Either one.
This is WIUR Sports Radio.
Hi, I'm Robbie Basil, president of WIUR Radio, and I hope you're enjoying today's show. Have you ever wanted to call the biggest games, the biggest moments for the biggest names for Iona Athletics? Then the newly founded WIUR Sports Radio is the place to be. Launched in January of 2025, our goal is to try and get broadcasters here at Iona an opportunity to learn, succeed, and get a chance to be on air. From getting to call the big moments at the hack,
Dinkins trying to go to the rack. Denied! Yafet Mundi
to seeing the crack of the bat at City Park.
The line drive in the left field, around third, and it kicks away. The Gales are going to win it in 10.
We make those moments happen on our brand new WIUR Sports Radio platform on Mixer. If you're interested, feel free to reach out to me via email or to the rest of my e-board to join the club. We are WIUR Sports Radio, the new home of Iona Athletics. Now, back to the show on WIUR, Iona University Radio.
We're back, guys. I hope you enjoyed that ad segment.
Get involved in broadcast.
I know. Get involved, guys. We did it for 7 weeks now. It's super easy.
Yeah, get involved. UFC 322. Crazy card. Incredible card. And like I mentioned during the break, we have to talk about the biggest win of the card already, and there's been no fights yet.
Thank God.
Bo Nickel is off the main card.
Demoted.
Thank God. He is the feature prelim.
You know, I was like, yo, the UFC does not have their ear to the streets. No one cares about Bo Nickel. Then they revise it. You got Benoit Saint-Denis versus Beneil Dariush replacing that.
Yeah, an actual good fight.
That's going to be on the bottom of the main card. I've seen, weirdly, the bout orders are all like switched. I've seen. I've seen people have Sean Brady versus Michael Morales as the featured fight, and I've seen people have Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates as the featured fight.
Yeah, the official website of UFC has it Sean Brady versus Mike Morales.
It makes sense in terms of the rankings, considering Brady beat Edwards, and that's the highest level fighter there. But in terms of star power, out of all 4 of these guys, it's Prates number 1, Edwards number 2, being a former champ. So I wouldn't be surprised if they like swap that again. But all fights I'm super excited for. Well, I think every single fight we could talk about. Like
We can
in the sake of like kind of condensing the podcast, we have to peel it back a lot. We don't talk about everybody sometimes, but it's hard not to on this card.
This card, every fight is actually really good.
So let's
it
get
looks
to it.
really good. We have 15 minutes, so we can go through some
Okay.
stuff.
I'm not, I got smiling ear to ear right now. I get to yap some more.
Let's talk about the main event.
Let's talk about these odds. Firstly, Jack Della Maddalena enters as a plus 225. What are your thoughts on that?
I've been saying for months. I don't know if I said it on the show. I think I did. But for the last few months, I don't know why I have this gut feeling that JDM is going to win. So I'll be taking them at whatever odds they are. I'm glad they're underdog odds.
I have a couple underdogs marked, and JDM is one of them. Let's talk about what makes JDM so special compared to a lot of other like boxer, brawler, anti-wrestling types. What was so special in his fight with Bilal is he was always matching Bilal's level, making it impossible for Bilal to shoot. Overall, when you compare Bilal's shot to Islam's shot, there's no argument that Islam has the better wrestling out of the two, the more explosive wrestling out of the two.
Yeah.
But he'll always match with his head, making it so that Bilal can't get his hips to like hip to hip with JDM because his head is in the way. You can't compress your spine to get to his body. If you do, you're going to have no strength behind that shot. And then also when he is forced against the fence, and there are moments where Bilal was heavy pressure on the feet with his hands rather than his wrestling, that resulted in JDM taking a step back, and then he would shoot when he was on the fence. JDM frames super, super well with his off arm against Bilal and all of his opponents. Did this against what's his name? The guy he fought before Bilal, Gilbert Burns.
Burns, yeah.
And always threatens switches and counters when on the fence, and like especially when just taken down, he'll always stick his knee in the guard, try to get some type of movement or space, which is elite. Guys know that. Kickboxers know that. Don't get put down. Don't get held down. Fight it on the way down. Like fight it when you first get down. That's when the best type of like movement and scrambles can come from, because guys will like fall down and have the momentum going. If you put a little knee bar in there, have them roll over, which JDM does very, very well, there's just a scramble waiting for you. And then lastly, I wrote elite get-ups off his back. If you remember round 5, JDM versus Bilal, when he had to dig deep, he got taken down twice that round, got up one time in half guard, which is a very hard position to just get up off of. I would argue that mount, like the full mount, is easier to get up off of rather than half guard.
When you have a leg controlled, it's very difficult.
It's very difficult. And I think the second time he was just in full guard. But JDM is a very, very tricky customer for any grappler.
He's very good. That's why I don't like the casual, not saying like a casual fan, but like there's like this narrative that went around when it was first coming up. Like obviously if Bilal had won, then you'd see Islam defend against Ilya. And that's the fight everyone wants to see. But then when JDM won, it was like, all right, well now Islam's just going to win the belt. Like it's not that easy. It's not that easy.
Think about it. Like, I would argue Volk is a more dynamic fighter, but like they do train together and they present a lot of the same problems. I would argue like what you can take away from Volk's like dynamic strike selection, you can put in the JDM's power going into 170, because he is, I don't want to say he is KO power, like stiff KO power at that top level, but he has a very thudding hand. And the damage Bilal took in that fight, which is someone who doesn't really take a whole lot of damage in his fights, was very, very impressive to me.
And going into the Bilal fight, there was a worry about his wrestling because of the Gilbert Burns fight, but he was injured in that fight.
And
he showed the caliber. And he showed the caliber against Bilal. Like he was very impressive.
And people love to talk about his work with Craig Jones, who is this BJJ, just phenomenal, like very, very smart, like wizard, I would just say, BJJ wizard. And very obviously that the work that he put in, because I think he had like a year and a half off in between his fight because he fought at 298, it might have been 299 against
299
Burns. fights at 3-6, might be 315 or 314 against Bilal. That's a huge gap. If you count it chronologically, it's over a year because there's more than 12 pay-per-views in between that.
Yeah.
But and he stays getting better. So I think the Jack Della Maddalena we're going to see in 2 weeks is going to be better than the Jack Della Maddalena we saw at 314.
I 100% agree. And he has to be better because he's fighting Islam Makhachev.
And he's only 29, guys.
He's very
like he's
young.
35.
He's very young. I've always liked JDM. And I think actually, I'm pretty sure back in 2022, when JDM made his official UFC debut after winning on Contender Series, I think I saw his very first fight. And I've kind of followed him ever since his first fight in the UFC. So it's also kind of like a heart pick. Like I want him to win because I've been following him the entire time. So but I did watch back. I saw
going with the underdog. Wait, who was his first fight? Was it the Pete Rodriguez?
I think so. Yeah.
Tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nasty KO. He's left a mark behind him. Like KO and Gilbert Burns, he was the first to do it. Like we know Gilbert Burns is on that downfall. Gets KO'd in a gritty performance against Della Maddalena. He lost, like I think he dislocated his shoulder and lost a 5-round fight against Bilal before that. Didn't get KO'd in that fight. You know, Bilal can't KO a guy with one arm.
Yeah.
Gets KO'd by Jack Della Maddalena, has a decision loss against Sean Brady, and then loses via KO against Michael Morales. All guys who are on this card, by the way. Poor Bilal. They're just not Bilal, sorry. Poor Burns, man. They're just gonna spam his highlights.
Yeah,
his
exactly.
lowlights, I should say.
He's the star of the card, but he's not fighting on it.
Poor guy. But he just keeps I don't know, he just keeps getting better. And like that knee was really smart because he just knew he was gonna shoot.
Yeah.
Gilbert Burns was a desperation shot.
And Burns was up on the cards.
Yeah, Burns was up on the cards. There were some JDM sequences on the feet that were like actually scary against Burns, like stringing 4 or 5 shots together.
His striking is
when
so
JDM,
good.
I think. Okay, what might make me lean towards Makhachev is him carrying number 1 that lighter man skill coming up. But Jack Della Maddalena does his best work when he puts like 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 punches together. Like he had that 10-punch combo against Ange Lusa in the Contender Series, which is like every one of them smooth.
There was a moment in that fight that worried me though. Towards the end of it, I think it was Ange Lusa. He got on top. He got pretty much. He locked up almost like perfectly an arm triangle. He didn't finish it because JDM won the fight. But if he gets in the same predicament against Islam's going to finish it.
Islam's going to, and you know, people always you always prepare for it, but people were always surprised by that Darce, man. Hinato Moicano, a jiu-jitsu black belt, very off guard. Like Darces are a submission you can very easily, not easily fight out of, but there's options when you're in a Darce. There's the main option, which is like you can roll and give your back, and then eventually when the squeeze isn't really there, your opponent's going to be prompted to take a better position. But like you do have a couple ways to defend that. You could just drop your base. But every time Islam locks in a Darce, it's like guys just have to tap.
Yeah,
like
it's
the
over.
Squeeze is just like so potent that it's like Poirier tapped and still went out. Like that says something, and that man is a real squeeze.
Yeah. And I want to say I know we had 15 minutes. We now have 7. We've talked about this
a lot
for a long time. But the last thing I'll say is you mentioned lighter man skill, but it's not even lighter man skill. It's Islam Makhachev's skill.
Yeah.
That's a completely different thing.
Skill.
Exactly.
I think Islam's going to surprise a lot of people on the feet.
I think so too.
I think when Jack Della Maddalena tries to put like a lot of punches together, he's going to be there to intercept 1 or 2 of them and cause a reset in that sequence, which will very much favor Islam. And I think that Islam might be like looking to get into that tie clinch with JDM because he has so many options from there. He has the sweep, the knees, the elbows, and he's very, very good in the clinch. And he can mix it up because JDM is probably going to have good enough defense striking wise, like in the boxing back and forths to like not really feel a lot of Islam's offense. But I think from the clinch is where it can get a little shaky for JDM. So I am going to go for Islam. I love the odds. And I think JDM is a plus. I think he's like a plus 225.
I think it's worth a pick.
I think it's worth.
I was always going to pick him just because, like I said, I have that weird feeling.
So we're
but
split.
We are split on this one. We're split again.
Either way, I'm happy because either way, I get the pick right if it's Islam. But if JDM stays champion after this, I'm going to be very happy. And who messes with him after that?
Exactly. If you beat Islam Makhachev, like you're in the driver's
Moving
seat.
on, this is a big fight. Valentina Shevchenko versus Weili Zhang.
Huge.
Huge fight. And I'm a big fan of Weili Zhang, but what's striking like my doubt in her, Valentina Shevchenko fought at 135. She's a big woman, and she cuts weight to get down to 125. Weili didn't really cut that much weight going down to 115. So I'd imagine that she's very much at a physicality disadvantage. And I feel like a lot of the times in high level WMMA, that matters. Manon Fiorot, who doesn't really have a whole lot outside of her physicality, minus that KO shot we saw the other week, is number one in that division. She poses a lot of problems for girls like Erin Blanchfield and other people she's fought on the way up. So I'm going to go with Shevchenko. I just think that lighter man skill doesn't really carry as much in the women's divisions.
It makes sense. Although Zhang Weili's like recent wins have been so dominant. Like she's not been had in a close fight in how long?
Yeah. And I think she'll be tested, and I think she'll probably go back to 115 after this. But how old's Weili? Weili's 36, and I know Shevchenko's old too. Shevchenko's like 38. We're looking at 37.
37, 36.
So yeah, a couple unks or aunties, I should say.
And a couple aunties. It's hard. It's a hard fight to pick.
I'm going Shevchenko. I just think she's too big for her.
That's fair.
I guess. Well, yeah. I think we need to pick from you because that's a title fight too.
You know what? We're gonna make it different. I'm gonna go with Zhang Weili. We're gonna go opposite on both title
I like that.
fights.
The odds on that. We're looking at.
There's a higher.
It's even odds. Wow.
There's a higher likelihood, I think, that you come out 2-0 than me, but we'll see in a couple of weeks.
Your picks are better regardless.
For money.
Next, Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. I'm so excited for this fight. I'm very much fence sitting whether I want to buy these tickets or not because they're so damn expensive.
All these fights are worth buying a ticket for.
This fight, and this is when I knew I was probably going to buy the ticket. When they added Sean Brady versus Michael Morales, because now this is like a 170 like show off, essentially. Welterweight, I think both of those fights have number one implication on the titles, and both fighters can outdo each other. Like if Prates goes out there and gets a real good finish against Leon Edwards, he could probably fight for a title.
Yeah.
Like if he gets the type of finish he did against Jeff Neal, like some type of crazy stuff like that, you could argue that he should be fighting for a title next.
And it depends. It's hard too, because if Michael Morales comes out and beats Sean Brady dominated Leon Edwards.
How can you argue with him?
But if Sean Brady comes out and dominates Michael Morales somehow, how do you argue with him there too?
And Sean Brady's good. I'm super excited for tonight. And shame on all the 170ers not fighting right now. Shame on Kamaru Usman. I don't want to say shame on Joaquin Buckley because he's coming off a loss.
I think Usman said. What did Usman say? What did Usman say? He said he thinks he's going to fight the loser of JDM and Islam.
No, he said he wants to fight the winner. I'm pretty sure
he ain't getting the winner.
He's not getting the winner. Like you're not getting the winner.
I think it might have been loser. Joaquin. I don't know, but I think the loser of that fight would make sense for him.
Yeah, possibly. I think so too. And I think you can match him up with one of the winners or losers here. Like let's say Michael Morales wins, but like not super convincingly. You could run that.
Yeah.
But I think Michael Morales is going to win super convincingly. I'll cut to that.
He's really good.
Let's talk more about Leon versus Carlos Prates. I would argue that Prates has a big advantage standing up. Not big, but like
the power advantage.
I always value a kickboxing background over an MMA striker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a reason Pereira and Adesanya and guys like that will just run through divisions. It's because their striking's on a different level, and they've seen striking for 12 rounds as opposed to 3 or 5 for like tens of hundreds of fights. Maybe I think I'm pretty sure Carlos Prates has over 100 Muay Thai fights. And he's a dog. Crazy. If you listen to a story about like his come up in Brazil and China and Thailand, you know he's a dog and he stays fighting. But Leon Edwards, I don't want to say he could stink this up, but he really could like capitalize on some of the Carlos Prates weaknesses that we saw in the Ian Gary fight. I wrote that Prates will lower his stance a whole lot when he wants to throw his offense. And the offense is most of the times a knee or something with the hands. So if Leon Edwards just gets on like a movement-based kind of pattern, not pattern, but a movement kind of style, and then goes for leg kicks, jabs, shoots the intermittent takedown here and there, he could really stifle the offense, which is, why I'm sort of eyeing Leon Edwards is an underdog.
Yeah,
But I that fight could go a number of ways.
that fight can go both ways. Yeah. Who do you think wins between BSD and Dariush? BSD?
I like Dariush.
Do you like Benny?
I like Benny. I think that's a very good underdog. Plus 170. That should be a pick'em fight.
It should be. Yeah, I would
'Cause,
agree.
like-
It's just what'd you say Benny is? What plus 170?
Plus 170.
It's just because of BSD's last fight. Like he was
Yeah.
so dominant.
It
but
was so dominant, and like we had very high hopes for
Mauricio Rufy.
yeah, from Mauricio Rufy. So you got to think that the BSD hype train is back on. But I don't know. I think Benoit Saint-Denis got leveled by Moicano, who just lost to Benoit.
Mhm.
Or excuse me, Benil. Excuse me. And I just think that like Dariush is tough, and you need a big one to put him out.
Mhm.
I think he can eat what Benoit's offering, and I think he is slick grappling. I think if he loses, he's going to be held against the fence a whole lot and maybe taken down. But I think Dariush got it. I like those odds a lot, actually.
We're at 6:00. We ran on
At
a
6
long
o'clock.
time.
We're
So I'd say, how about for the wrap up, real quick? You don't have to go too much into it, but on the prelims, what's one fight if you look down the card you would say to keep an eye on?
Sheesh. Okay. I'm gonna have to list off a couple. Okay, obviously Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cody Hudson, or Haddison. Haddon got replaced recently. Was supposed to fight Sergey Side, but Cody Haddon is still a very good prospect. I did have a big prediction. I know exactly how Roman Kopylov versus not Roman Kopylov versus how Bo Nickel versus Rodolfo Vieira is going to go. That's going to go
quick.
It's going to go exactly like the Paul Craig fight. It's going to be stand up overhands, and no one's going to get a takedown because he's a boring fighter.
Yeah.
Also, another big fight: Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodriguez.
That should be a great fight.
That should be a great fight. I mean, we'll see. I think Gregory Rodriguez can mix it up. Will probably do more in that fight. Kopylov, because he wasn't really heavy on that output against Costa, does kind of fall behind in fights.
And the last thing I want to say is that very opening fight of the card is by Sangir Susurkayev, who I don't know if you're familiar with. He fought on the first episode of Dana White's Contender Series, turned around on 4 days' notice, got a win. So I'm very interested to see what happens when he's on a full camp.
And that activity is surprising, number one. Yeah. I got to do one more fight. Chepe Mariscal versus Pat Sabatini is a very high level 145 fight, and that got added relatively recently. I think Pat Sabatini makes a statement here. It's a big physical win, maybe a submission, but I'd imagine very dominant wrestling because he beat Johanderson Brito, who was a very strong guy and tough out as well. But I got to shout out the ladies too. I'm a big fan of Fatima Klein. She is crazy good kickboxing, and she's like a lesser version of Dakota Decheva, who I would love to see in the UFC. But she has very high level striking and gets knockouts, which is impressive for girls.
You also have Tracy Cortez versus Aaron Blanchfield on this card. So
give me Aaron Blanchfield by easy peasy.
So. You think so?
I think so. I'm a fan of Aaron Blanchfield. And I think she would have wiped Macy Barber too. But very, very, very good card.
Had a busy episode today.
Do we think that's card of the year?
It might be.
Where did the year start at? It was
started
the
with
310.
Yeah. That was a great card.
That was a great card. I think 322 is probably best card of the year.
We'll see if it plays out that way.
We'll see if it plays out that way, and
we'll be back not next week, but in 2 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks with probably another busy episode.
So hey, I hope you all enjoyed this very busy episode.
Yeah,
I think we got a lot out there.
We did.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Follow the Insta, follow the Twitter, or the X account, I should say.
X.
I want to start live tweeting some of the results that we talked about, and I'll kind of bring in some of the podcast topics we talked about. But we'll see. I also really want to do some interview content at 322. So maybe go to the ceremonial weigh-ins or the press conferences, not the press conferences, the interviews they have with their whole arena, and interview some fans outside. We'll see. I want to do some stuff for all the New York.
We'll see what happens.
But we'll see you this Saturday at Bonfim versus Randy Brown. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yep. Have a good one.